could. But we're still here for a very good reason. We're here to honor our fallen brother, Josh Faile. And we have some of his family here tonight, and they're going to speak soon. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a good story of ours. I got the privilege of spending his last birthday with him, and me and Alistair met him at Copper Top, and it was an all-you-can-drink. So as we know, he indulged. So we went back from Copper Top to CDB's, and we had a few more drinks at CDB's, and Faile fell asleep with a dip in his lip and a beer in his hand at the bar. And we decided we were going to go home from there, and we tried to drop him off at Joe Close, a great friend of his apartment, but he didn't answer his phone. So he ended up staying the night at our place, and me and Alistair tried to walk him up to the apartment, and Faile is feeling good at this point, we'll leave it at that. He tries to walk up the stairs, stumbles back, hits the wall, stumbles up to the stairs, hits the stairs, stumbles back, hits the wall, stumbles back up to the stairs, makes it almost all the way up, stumbles back down the stairs into the wall. So we finally get him upstairs, and we find him a twin-size bed to fall asleep in. And I wake him up the next morning, he's still got a dip in his lip. First thing he does is crack a Natty Light and drinks it. So, you know, that's the kind of guy Faile was. He loved life, and he always had a great time. And that's what we're here to honor. So if anybody else, we want to open the floor to anybody who has a good story about him that just it kind of celebrates his life and tells the kind of character and the kind of man he was. So if anybody at this point, Cody, if you would.
I didn't really want to tell a story, but I thought about a lot of things on the ride here to Tampa today, and there's a few people in here that I know pretty well. Mitch, Spencer, you know, Walter, Alistair, Brian. There's a lot more of you that I don't know, and main thing I just want to say is I know that the guys I just mentioned and all the coaches, I know that they all knew Faile like really close, like I did too, and I know it'll be more of a daily reminder for them that they're not around Faile, and for the people that you know that are younger, like rookies and guys that didn't know Faile as well, just you know, everything the little bit you hear about Faile today, like that you have heard over time around him or not around him, just continue to like let his legacy live on through USF rugby, because that guy ate, sleep, and breathed rugby, and not only that, but USF. Like, you know, he loved this club, like sacrificed a lot for this team, and I just like, you know, the best thing I think as his friend, like I'd like to see is just everybody like for decades. I hope like I come back 20 years, like old and great, and hear about Josh Faile. Like that's mainly all I want to say, and thank you all for being great friends, Josh.
All right, guys. Next up, whoever would like to tell a story about Faile, please, by all means. All right, Dane, take the floor.
So I have a lot of stories about Faile. A lot of them were really funny. Like the one time when he told me that he only knew about important countries like Alaska and Hawaii. I have a story about the time that we were in the stands when FSU played USF at Raymond James, and there was this poor kid that was an FSU right in front of us, and Faile was getting in his face and was going, "Fuck the Seminoles." The entire football game. But the story that I want to tell you about Faile was the time when we were on tour, and this was the first night that we were in Cardiff, and we went out and we were drinking, and we were drinking pretty heavily, and I was drinking really, really, really heavily. And the parts that I remember is I was outside in this club that we were in Cardiff, and I was throwing up, and I had no clue where I was. But Josh Faile came up, and he kind of grabbed me on the shoulders and says, "Hey, Dane, are you all right? And I said, no, I'm not all right. I don't know how I'm going to get home. I was kind of freaking out. And he says, don't worry, I got you. So what I remember is we found a taxi somewhere. He told us that we needed to get to the youth hostel, or the Carter,
What's a youth hostel?
The sport hostel. And the taxi driver had no clue what we were talking about. He says, just get us in sight of the National Stadium and we'll be able to walk back. And I said, sure, Faile, that's where we're going. He said, I got it, don't worry about it. And we found out, we got dropped off somewhere. Faile paid the whole tab. I don't really remember. It was very inside, but he kind of put my hand over his shoulder and he walked me home. And we got back there somehow. I don't know how, but we got back there. And the next day I woke up, no idea what happened the next day. And I went and I said, Faile, how did I get home? He says, don't worry, man, I got you. I took care of you. I got you home. And it was a great time. And you didn't, nothing bad happened. Your bank account's all fine. And I said, wow, Faile, I never said thank you so much before, but, he took care of me. When I never would have thought anyone would have took care of me. He took care of me. He didn't care if I was a starter, if I was a scrub. I was on the rugby team, and he took care of me. And Faile, if you can hear me, I want to say thank you so much for everything you've ever done. Faile was the greatest person I ever knew. Not just the size of his waist, but the size of his head. He was the greatest person I ever had the privilege of meeting. And I love you, Faile. I love you so much. I hope I get to see you sometime again.
There you go, Dave.
All right, guys, that's a pretty good one. Anyone got anything to top it? Zachary, come on down. Come on down.
Who really wants to go?
By all means. God, you're so good looking.
Alright, so my favorite thing about Faile was he was a great guy, but the best thing about
Put
him
your
was
mic up.
Speak into the mic.
how confident he was. Is that better? Okay. Alright, so Faile had this aura around him. He was such a good guy, and we went to Casey and I, NIT, we hosted the Kangaroo Court at our house. Around, I don't remember when it was, but Faile came to our house and he's like, oh, Zach, you got this great setup. You live on a lake. Wow, it's amazing. And he looked around the backyard and he's like, is that a boathouse? Have you jumped off that yet? And I said, it's 5 feet deep. And he goes, got that. So I'm like, all right, I guess we got it. So we got this ladder. We got up there. We jumped. We had fun. It was great. At the court, my favorite memory of Faile is he got courted. He got 3 charges. Got down on his knee. He took it all like a man. He said, guilty, guilty, guilty. So I guess that's guilty squared. Best guy ever.
Thanks, Zach. That's a good one. Joe, I believe you wanted to come on up. You have something to read for us?
So, last night, Josh's dad, Billy Bob, he wanted me to say something today, and I knew I wouldn't be able to come up with something on the spot. I'm not very good with that. I got too many concussions and all that stuff. So, I just wrote something down, and I said, Joshua Ryan Faile. I call him a friend, a best friend, or even a brother. Yet the words that fall short of what Josh meant to me and many others here stand along with us here. And it goes way back before any of us ever thought of college. You know, he and I, we used to get in trouble in preschool for talking during nap time. So we used to get a lot of trouble. I spent many summer afternoons playing the pool, bike rides, seeing who could do the most flips off the diving board, swim the fastest, and Billy Bob can contest to that. And he was always a competitor, whether it be who could do the, like I said, the most flips, run faster, or most recently be the better rugby player. Though he was always competitive, it wasn't to boast about himself, but to push his friends to become better than they were. Josh and I picked up here in college after I left being stationed in D.C. Like, we never stopped being best friends from elementary school. Some of the things I remember, countless nights of Call of Duty, Copper Top, having to call Jess to come pick us up. Watching rugby to teach me to become better, like teaching me the rules, and he would force me to watch probably 5-6 matches in a row. He took me under his wing like he did many of you. I'm sure he did. And no matter what he did, rugby, work, being there for his friends, he did it with passion and total dedication. I'll miss the backyard fires, staying out all night, arguing over blue cheese and ranch, cleaning up empty beer cans and spit bottles before Jess would yell at us. And if there's one thing I've learned from my best friend is that it's never about you. Everyone should live Josh's legacy of putting others first, and if you put others first ahead of yourself, you'll always be satisfied in life. And people and relationships are better than any treasure we can have here. So here's you, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Speaking of which, I still have a spit bottle from Josh on my porch. I'm wondering if he's ever going to come get that already. You know? Anyways, Jess, do you want to come up?
Yeah.
Keep it. Alright, I don't really have anything here. I'm just going to ramble on for a minute. But Josh is my best friend. We've been friends since 5th grade, whatever. I think he actually walked in on me in the bathroom one time in 5th grade. He didn't knock.
Sounds like
But anyway, he was always the protective older brother. My brothers moved away, so he took that role. He had to keep my apartment. He would always take care of me, do everything he did. And I remember I actually came to USF because of Josh. And I was in high school, a senior, and he was a freshman here. And I came, and I would visit him on the weekends. And he would come, and he would, we were at a party one time at his apartment. And I was outside, just on the stairwell, talking to someone, like people do. And the party stopped. The music shut off, everything. And I heard him yelling in the apartment. And he comes out and he's so angry. And he's like, "Where were you? What have you been doing?" And I'm like, "I am talking to somebody." Sir. And he was like, "Well, I didn't know where you were." Apparently, he stopped the entire party, shut off the music, said this party is not continuing until we find this short brown girl. Her name is Jessica. She's short and obnoxious. And you need to know, well, they found me really quickly because I am short, brown, and obnoxious. And so, yeah, they found me. And he's always been protective. My little sister Jackie's right there. And he would stay with us on the weekends sometimes, and he would work here, whatever. And he had a key to the apartment, like I said. So I came home one day and I said, "Josh, why are my toilets blue?" He goes, "You had water stains," and it freaked me out. So I got toilet bowl cleaner for you and your sister. There's extra tablets under the sink. I'm like, "Who does that? You don't clean. There's dip spits on my laundry thing, and you're cleaning the toilet." And he dipped an entire thing of dip spit in my washing machine. So, yeah, and I would come home, and I wouldn't know if he was over at the apartment. I'd open my fridge, 18 of Bush. Josh, you might, yep, you're here. And I would, when like him and Joe would always be playing Call of Duty, and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm getting off work," and I'm guessing there's an 18 of Bush, there's a bottle of dip, and Josh is sitting way too close to the TV playing Call of Duty. And he goes, "Oh my God, that's exactly what's happening right now." I was like, yeah. Josh is always the best friend. What?
Except when it comes to poker.
Poker. Jacqueline kicked his butt in poker. He probably would never admit it, but she did. She's way better at poker than he was. So, I don't know, he was everything that I could ever ask for in a friend, and he would do anything for me. And if a guy made me cry, he'd be the first person to say, "Screw him, you don't need him." And he would come cuddle. The first time I ever saw him cry was when my dad died. And I had never seen him cry. When I would cry, he would cry. And he goes, "I hope you know this is the only time that I cry, is when you're crying." And so, I don't know, when the weekends are alone and I don't have anybody on my couch and there's no Bush in the fridge. By the way, I hate Bush. Probably the worst beer ever. I mean, Budweiser or anything, not Bud, no. So, but when there's not Bush in the fridge, I'm just like, okay, I should go get Bush just to get hold of it, just so that I can have Bush in the fridge and it's there. So, here's to Josh. Break up. Yeah, Bush.
All right, guys, another good one. Delaware, I believe you have one to come. Yep. Come on down. Come on down. The price is right.
No deal.
Yes, sir. I guess I just want to echo the sentiments shared by everyone else so far. This is Josh Fell being a brother to every single one of us. Whenever things got stuck, you were in a sticky situation, he was the guy you could count on. He would come through for you on the field, off the field, it didn't matter. He was the guy for you. If I wanted to tell stories, I could be up here all day, but we're going to keep this brief. I had my first beer with Josh Fell. Everybody calls me Delaware because that's where I'm from. I moved here 2 weeks after graduating high school against my parents' will. And I played a sevens tournament immediately. Now I don't even remember where. But after the tournament where they had like a mini social, I'm sitting at a table one-on-one with Josh. He's like, "You're not a beer drinker at all." He's like, "No, it's not really me. You will be." And ever since, he dropped me off home after that. We were just the two of us riding together in his truck. And he even knew, he told me my address 2 years later. I couldn't believe he remembered. The biggest thing is when there was a time we were in Gainesville after a UF match. Cody, you were there. I probably should have just come home immediately with everybody else who's leaving Mother Social. And I just decided to hang out in Gainesville. What the hell? Let it happen. And I got in the worst way ever. Probably the worst experience of my life. That in Gainesville that night. But Josh was there. He took care of everything, made sure I was all right the next day. USF lost football against UF. They thought they were good that year. That was the start of the downfall for you rookies that don't know.
That's way back in the day.
Way back. But just Josh was always there as a brother to everybody. Whatever you needed, he would be there for you. If you needed something at the drop of the hat, he doesn't care. In the game, he was superb. But more than that, just as a man, Josh Fell was that guy. It didn't matter what you needed, he was going to take care of you. He was a people person, a man of people, and he was just going to be there. It hurts me that he's gone, but his memory will live on through all of us. And if anything, just let his life touch you and be a better person than someone else, because that's what he did. I'm going to miss him. I love you, Josh.
Nice boots, by the way. I like how your socks come up over it. Anyways, Cody, come on down.
Hi, everybody. I have been the individual who has been placed with an impossible task of filling Josh Fell's shoes at tight head prop. An impossible task, fantastic player, a fantastic friend. First of all, I just all I'm saying is that a heavy bush never done anybody wrong. That is not a bad segue. That's a little. I was unfortunately, I was more of a friend to him outside, off the pitch than on the pitch. But I did play a semester with him, and when he was still at tight head, I was locking. And for those who don't really know rugby, when a lock binds to the prop, the prop gives him his shorts, and you bind on, and there you go. Well, I didn't really know much about him at the time, but I know he wasn't big on manscaping. He was allowed to give the guy your shorts. Well, he gave every waistband he had. So you're sitting there locking, the next thing you know, you're not even some kind of force. You never want to get in the first place. But, no, he was a fantastic individual. He was a great guy. And, he was completely committed to the University of South Florida rugby team. And Dan can attest to this as well. Me and him, he may be an asshole, but he's not half bad if you get to know him. And, he'll always post these things about team bonding events that you want to have, and get the guys together, have a good time, and bond over whatever it is. Well, one night we decided we were going to have team bonding bowling, and about 4 people showed up. It was me, him, we were the two that posted about it. And about 2 other people showed up, and Nick was there. There's about two other people. Well, out of nowhere, Faile rolls on in. What the hell? He's like, oh yeah, I saw him on the Facebook page. You guys are having a team bowling event. I want to come to the team. I'm on the team. He happened to be working at, I think it was Busch Gardens at the time. They're there for the night, and so we bowl. We have a good time. We have some beers, and as usual. And they finished bowling. We're like, well, now what are we gonna do? Oh, well, of course we're gonna come to PJ Dolan's for a couple more beers. Come to PJ Dolan's, having more beers. He's too far gone. And Josh is like, well, I wasn't really ready to head home yet. I was like, well, my friends are at this other bar. Let's go there. So we and Faile ended up bar hopping for the next 3 or 4 hours, just hanging out, having a great time. It's out of nowhere he shows up just for a rugby event that 3 or 4 people showed up to. It just attests to how much of a commitment he had to this team. And like I said, I've been tasked with the most impossible task of filling his shoes at this position. And there's never going to be anybody as good as him at the position, as a player, as a friend, as a teammate. And he's a great guy, and that's all I have.
Honestly, I don't think he even owned a razor. I mean, that baby face, I'm pretty sure he never shaved in his life. Anyways, if I could have Sean Massey come up. Played with him for years, won a couple championships, I believe.
So, we all know Faile loved life, and it wasn't more obvious to me than when we went to Europe. And all you guys who went to Europe, But there was one particular night where we all went out drinking. Some of us had been able to go to Notre Dame earlier in the day, other of us had not. We all decided later we were going to go to Notre Dame. Like, we haven't seen it, it's nighttime, it's supposed to be lit up, it's supposed to be beautiful, let's go. So we go down the street, and before we get there, there is an open air ice skating rink. And it's awesome. People are ice skating, little kids all over the place. It's just beautiful. It's like picturesque. It's the best thing you get. You're in Paris, and it's the most amazing thing. And Faile sees his ice skating ring, and the first thing he thinks is, I'm going to run directly across it. I'm going to go straight across this ring and be chased by people. So what does he do? He jumps the rail, and he runs right across the ring. Right across, being chased by a couple French security guards. A couple of us left, and he got out of it just fine. No one caught him, which is surprising. And we ended up going. Notre Dame was only a block away, so we get to Notre Dame. It turns out it's Notre Dame's 850th year as a building. It's 850 years old. It's the anniversary. It's all lit up. They have bleachers that you can climb up and look at it, and it's amazing. And so we walk up these bleachers, and we're standing there staring at this amazing old building. I see Faile walk up, and he goes, "Hey, Massey, you see me run across the ice?" You just knew he was having the greatest time, and I was excited that everyone was just having a blast in France. But I think the best memory of that trip was one of the last nights we were there. We went to a bar at night, which weirdly had a Super Bowl picture of the Bucks in it, which is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But it started snowing that night, and it was snowing very lightly at first, and then it started coming out a little heavier. We all went outside, and we ended up catching snowflakes on our tongues together. Faile and me and a bunch of other guys. We were standing in the middle of Paris in 100-year-old buildings, and we're all just catching snowflakes, like in the moment. And it sounds kind of lame, but it was when I look back on it, you get to see all these guys that we got to spend the most amazing time with, getting to catch snowflakes on our tongues in Paris. And I know that Faile had the most amazing time there. He was living his life, and I'm glad that was one of the last few times I really got to hang out with him, because I think it was one of the better times that he's ever had. So, it's horrible, and we miss you, Faile, and hopefully we'll see you one day, because you're in a much better place.
If I remember remember right, that was the same bar you hit on that guy at, right, Alex? If I remember right. Anyway, Nathan Cobb, if I get you to come on out. Seriously, this guy grabbed your ass for like 4 years. Come on up.
So I knew Josh Faile for 4 years. He was my tight head, and he treated me well, brought me into the position of hooker, and taught me everything that I needed to know. The best memory I had of Faile was we were walking around Cardiff, and I don't know where he got the idea, but all of a sudden he found a little miniature flag and decided he was going to be our tour guide around Cardiff. No idea what it looked like around there. He had a map, but he never used it. He brought us into random bars, acted like he knew everybody, and tried to get us discounts on every alcohol that we could. Just a great guy, and I really miss him, and I know you guys do too. And we love you, Faile.
All right, the Aryan brother himself, if I could have you come up.
This one's pretty short, but my freshman year, the reason I started rugby, I went out there to my first practice ever, and I met Joshua Faile and Tom Legere, who's obviously a veteran at this point. And one of my first experiences with Faile is the day before the beer Olympics, or the rugby Olympics that we have. We were over at Alistair and Ryan Skavarch's place. We were all having a couple warm-up drinks before the beer Olympics. And we decided to go get some checkers. And somebody, Tom Legere, I'm not going to say something. Tom Legere told me to say, hey, you should bring up buttermilk ranch in front of Faile. So I went to Joshua Faile at Checkers. I got an order of fries. And I said, Joshua Faile, how do you feel about buttermilk ranch? And this is my first couple weeks on the rugby team. He square, boom, punches me in the face. At Checkers, punches me in the face because I said buttermilk ranch. And I wanted to be mad, but I was laughing so hard because I got punched in the face because of ranch. And what became of that was a couple of years of great experiences with him as a teammate, as a friend. He's an awesome person. I'm glad I got to do the whole France and Wales experience with him, and I'll never forget it. And I think we're all just really happy that we got to experience life with him. That's it.
Walter, if you would, our resident South African.
I got papers, don't worry, guys. So I was lucky enough to play with Faile a couple of years, but I'd say that one of the greatest memories, and I'm sure you'd all be able to relate to a story like this, is we were at conditioning. I think we were running a 2-mile or whatever it was, and Faile, I was with Mitch at the time, and we were standing there talking, and Faile comes up, and he's not looking too good. And we asked him what's going on. You know, he says he's a little sick, but don't worry. You know, he took care of it. He took care of it. He ordered a a Whopper, with onions and extra cheese, right, Mitch? Whopper, extra onions and cheese. And me and Mitch were, what the hell, Faile? What are you talking about? And we got into an argument that onions had more vitamin C than oranges. So this is the reason behind the Whopper, and sure enough, I'm sure he killed conditioning that day like he always did. Yeah, I mean that's the story that sticks out in my head with Faile. But besides that, you know, he was just an all-around great guy. I mean, I'm sure anyone that knows him, his heart was huge, and there's nothing negative you can say about Faile, or he never had nothing negative to say about anyone. And you know, he's a guy that I'll remember for the rest of my life. So thank you.
All right, Mr. Jackson, if I could have you come on down. I love how you're wearing USF gear right now. Way to support the team.
This is that same. Where's your USF? Oh.
Way to go, Mitch. Way to call me out.
Yes.
Sorry. So everyone's come up here and talked about how awesome Josh is, because so much to say about that guy. I think there's a couple things that stand out for Josh in my mind, and I'm sure everyone out here's got a billion stories about him. I think one time, we had a couple guys here know the story. We had a golfing tournament, and yeah, you hear the laughs. I haven't even got there yet. And Josh, what did he have, like a 24-pack of Bud Light or something? Something like that. And, Bush. You can't bring the beer with you out to the course. So he's, like, stuffing them in his bag. So, like, he's just loading his bag up with beers. And, of course, he's not going to pay the outrageous prices. So, I think by, like, I don't know, he was golfing with David. And by the time we got, 8 holes in or something, he had probably polished off that 24-pack by himself, maybe, Mitch? I don't know. I don't know the details, but I think at one point there was an alligator out on the course, and he was full-on ready to wrestle that thing. And everyone's like, Josh, I don't think you should do this. There's an alligator. He's like, I got this. I got it. I've got it. Everyone just, that guy, everyone here knows, loves that kid, and I think one of the best things I remember about him, aside from all the great stories you guys have told, one of the most meaningful things that sticks out in my mind is you don't talk about Kangaroo Court, but I think here we can make an exception that this is more of a Spencer Bass story, but Spencer got crushed with charges one year. He had like so many charges against him, and he had to drink an outrageous amount of alcohol. And I think you remember it, don't you? He was up there at the table and was like, "You gotta drink all of this." And Josh just stands up, and it's a totally abnormal thing. I've never seen it, and just comes up and he says, "I got you, Spence. Just take some of it for you. Just had your back, man." And it just stands out in my mind. Josh, everyone else has been here said it. Josh just had everyone's back, and I miss this guy. And I think everyone can attest here that when you're out there on the field, and when Josh was playing that day, you felt a little more comfortable. When Josh was out there on the field, you knew that you felt a little better when you knew he was playing with you. So, love you, buddy. Hope I see you one day.
While I'll not confirm or deny that last story, it's absolutely true that you always knew Josh had your back. On a different note, going back to boathouses and touching on a little bit of Josh's athleticism, which you'd never guess he had. I was up at my parents' lake house in Georgia, and he was going up to see the Braves play with Tyler, and they came up and stayed at the house for the night. And I think you guys got there like 11, 12 maybe, and me and my buddy Fred were up there. We had a couple of drinks, and it's it's pitch black. It's up in the mountains. There's no lights to speak of other than the stars, and we had a boathouse. It's like 2 stories high. You put the boats on the bottom, you can sleep on the top. And I'm like, hey, Josh, now that you're here, you have to jump off the boathouse. You have to, that's part of the rules. And Tyler did. And we go out to the boathouse. You can't see the water, and I'm thinking like he'll be maybe a little bit scared and can't see the water. He's never been here before. Has no idea what's down there. And sure enough, he's like, and there's a railing probably this high. He's like, all right, steps up, that laid out backflip, can't see where he's gonna land, sticks the landing, and I don't know how much Josh weighed, but it was enough to shake the boathouse a little bit. Somehow stick the landing into the water, and I think he had a good time that weekend. And we went the next day wakeboarding which Josh could do pretty well, and sure enough, tried a couple flips out there too. They didn't go as well as the one off the boathouse, but it was definitely a good time, and we'll definitely all miss him.
All right, guys, if we could get our highly esteemed head coach up here today. Gordon, where is he? Anyone see him? He's so short, we can't find him.
He's the older gentleman.
Thank you, Brian. First time I saw Josh, he was quite substantial. And it was only a few weeks ago that I found out how he found me. We were at the Orlando Showgrounds. I think we might have, I'm not sure who we were playing. We might have been playing Florida State, or we might have been playing UCF, but it's one of these things that we need to thank UCF for. Lee Supernic, yeah. Lee, I didn't know that Lee and he were such good buddies until a few weeks ago. And apparently Lee put him on to come down to watch rugby. Well, we just finished whoever we were playing, and this, I was going to say, guy comes running across the field. This guy comes across the field. Are you coach? He said, yeah. I want to play rugby. I said, sure. Are you at USF? He said, yeah, no, I'm fine. So, okay, come down, but you need to lose some weight. Well, not only did he lose some weight, he lost a lot of weight. And if I can remember rightly, once he got into his starting position at number 3, I don't think he ever lost that position. I don't even think he was injured. Somebody might correct me, but the only reason, if he was injured, that would be the only reason he didn't get selected into this position. For those of you who don't know rugby, this is one of the most technically demanding positions on the field. There's a lot of work that needs to be done for it. And this Josh, who knew nothing about rugby, said, I want to play, and said, okay, lose some weight, start running. He started running, he gasped and gasped, and that, but he stuck at it and stuck at it and stuck at it. And he did become one of the fitter guys. He's certainly one of the stronger guys, and he's certainly one of the students of the game. He used to, I don't know any of you know Neil from UF. Neil was he was another student of the game. After the matches that we would play UF, you would find Faile talking to Neil about how to scrimmage. Right? And he loved that element of the game. He loved the game. He worked hard at it, and I think he got a lot out of it. This picture here, you can see a picture of Josh, the largest one in this montage. He's there. That's when he was playing in Paris. He won the man of the match that day. And rumour has it that he never took that shirt off for a few days. That Gersh shirt, that's amazing. But he won that, and there's one of my favourite sights of Josh, and all of those, any of you who've got the hat will know that photo. It's a classic where he got the ball. We were playing Florida Atlantic on Magnolia Field. We were playing Florida Atlantic, and for some reason or other, Josh was on the wing. And not only was he on the wing, he got the ball, caught the ball. Maybe he was certainly outside the 22, somewhere between the 22 and the halfway line. He got the ball, and all of a sudden there was nothing between him and the goalpost other than grass. And Josh, I was going to say sprinted. Just wait, the word will come. The word will come. Rumbled down the field. But he did rumble at such a pace that no one caught him. And of course, if you look at the photo, if you look at the hat, you'll see the photo. That's a photo that we took of him making this dive under the post and I'm not sure whether he scored many tries, but certainly that was probably one of his most enjoyable tries. You know, he loved the game. He was a student of the game. He put a lot into it, and a lot of what I see is different to what you see. I don't, tend not to go drinking at 3 o'clock in the morning in the strange bars anymore. That I can remember. But he means a lot. He was my first choice. I've argued with other forwards coaches who didn't want to put him there, but I believed in him, and he delivered. And I think that's what everybody's saying. Whatever he does, he delivers. And good health.
Speaking of conditioning, I swear to God, every time we ran that 2 mile, he beat my ass by like a minute. I'd be sitting there like, how is Faile beating me by so much? Never made any sense to me. Anyways, Mitch, if I can have you come up. Our captain.
Yeah, my boy Mitch. Stand up.
All right, dude.
Can you stand up, please?
No, Josh is a great guy. He's already said it. I did have a quick story though. My freshman year, believe it or not, I was smaller than I am now. I came out of rugby. I weighed about 130 pounds. Probably had no business being out there, but I wanted to play. And we had a really involved team that year, on the field and off. And probably the first month I was on the team, we had an event at Asia or Prana. I can't remember what it was. It was somewhere, some club downtown. I'm fresh out of high school, never been to a club. I didn't even really drink at the time. I was just like, whatever, I want to be part of this team, I'm going to go to this event and have some fun. So we go out, we're there, I'm hanging out, whatever. I wouldn't say I'm the most outgoing or crazy guy, so I'm just kind of hanging out. I'm not Zach over there who, I saw him in the corner that night with like 6 different girls. What is he doing? I don't know. He was like a great guy. So I'm just hanging out there. And then Josh and Cody actually came up to me like, hey man, how you doing? You having a good time? I was like, yeah, I'm hanging out, whatever. Like, you want a drink? And I wasn't technically old enough to have one. But I'm hanging out and I was like, yeah, sure. So for the rest of the night, he just bought me a whole bunch of drinks, and it was probably my first time having that many drinks. I had an excellent time, and it was me, Cody, and Josh, and we just hung out at this bar. Probably watched Zach for like an hour do his thing. And we're hanging out, we're having a great time, and I guess at some point that night, he lost his card that he was buying all these drinks with. And so the credit card company calls him the next day, or he calls them and they're like, okay, well, when was the last time you had your card? And he was like, probably noon yesterday. He says that, and they're like, all right, so we have about $80 in charges down at Prana. Did you not have the card? And he was like, whoa, I'm not even old enough to drink. And so they were like, all right, charges wiped away. So we all had a good night for free. And yeah, it was awesome. And aside from that, I captained this team for 3 years, and it was awesome. And couldn't tell you how good of a job I did as that, but I can tell you as far as players go. And my parents are here right now. I'm sure you guys all know them. You can ask them if you feel like it, but I used to tell them all the time, if we had a team full of Josh Failes, it'd be a hell of a lot easier to be a captain, and it would be a very successful club. If you told him anything once, you'd never even think to say it again, because he would, it was in there, he was doing it, that was it. Just a great guy, great friend, great teammate, awesome person in life, so we miss him.
All right, do we have any other rugby players who want to tell a story? Anyone? All right, well then I invite any of the family that wants to tell a story, if you guys would come on up. If not, then all right, sounds good. Sounds good.
Hey, all right.
All right, my name is Michael. I'm his. I'm one of his cousins, one of his many cousins. We live in Wildwood, Florida. One of my fondest memories, well, there's a bunch of them, but every anniversary, me and my wife would come down and Joshua, of course, worked at Busch Gardens. He would always give us tickets for free. So him and Dick were actually living at this big, huge mansion somewhere over here. And Uncle Billy somehow always managed to come on our anniversaries. So, I mean, it was like 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, for free, yeah. So, I mean, he was always, he was always there for us. We golfed. I mean, like the week before, we had just went golfing. And I can attest to whoever said something about him loading beers into the golf cart for us. We went to Lake Mountain in Wildwood, right across the street from where we live, and he, same thing. He loaded up all of them beers, and, you know, we went and played, and I'm not a really good golf player, so he made up for it. So, but I don't know. I loved him. I loved the world of him. He came over and ate dinner at our house, and we have 4 kids, and they, you know, pretty much adored him too. So, I'm not really good with words, but I think that's all I got to say. But we really enjoyed having him here for as long as he was. So.
I don't know. I've seen Phil play golf. What did you guys shoot, like 200 that day? 300? Something like that?
I did.
Anyways, if I could have Billy Bob come up. This is Josh's father, if anybody doesn't know. He has a few words for us.
First of all, I want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all. But you see this picture here? This is actually a good picture. It reminds me of Josh because he was always smiling. This is what I always could see him doing, no matter how bad things were at. I used to ask Joshua, and y'all have definitely proven my point. I used to always ask Joshua why he wanted to go to college. And he used to always tell me about the college experience, about the college experience. Joshua, it's more about college than the college experience, and that's all I ever heard, the college experience. Well, his mom and I did, you know, we tried to be responsible parents as much as we could, and we did the prepaid college and all that stuff that you do for your kids. And one day y'all have to start shelling out y'all's money for y'all youngins too. But when he got ready to leave, if you remember the first day of school here, you know how y'all have all these parties, you know, the storm come through. And there's a big hurricane come through. Well, I didn't want Joshua to drive during the hurricane, but you know Josh. I mean, sometimes I would let him win. That little passion for arguing and disagreeing, I got to admit, that probably came from me because, you know, my family will tell you, and they won't tell you now if this is about being nice to me right now. But, I'm known to you know, I like the last word. Let's just put it like that. But anyway, Joshua got that for me. So what I actually did was, Joshua, when he was a little kid, you know, used to play with those little Matchbox cars and everything. And anyway, I happened to see one at the house, and when he got ready to leave, I gave Joshua a little truck. Not this one, but just to show what it's like. I gave Joshua a truck, and I said, Joshua, you realize if you go down there and have that college experience, that I'm cashing in your prepaid college fund, and it's coming back to me, and I'm going to buy me a brand new truck. But Joshua surprised me. I honestly thought that his first year, he was going to school this first year just to shut up his daddy. You know, not knowing my boy, I thought that's what he's doing. He's going to school to shut me up. But you know, he got down here, and he found something that gave him a drive, and it gave him a passion, and I will always be grateful for that, because that is what kept him coming back, kept him coming to this school. And before we go in there and have that unveiling of retiring his jersey, from my family, from his mom, from David, and all his many friends and family, you know, we do thank y'all. We thank y'all for letting Joshua become the man he needed to be. So that's about all I have to say. I miss him dearly. I know y'all do too, and the family does. But you know what? You know what the Lord tells us, one day we can see him again. All right, thank y'all.
All right, so now that we've shared as many stories as we have, if we could have everyone come inside, we're going to unveil the jersey now, so if we could everyone get up and walk your asses inside now. Thank you.
Jackie, you gotta make peace in the doctor's.
How do we know what the specials are now?
Where's Mitch? Where's Mitch?
Hey, Mitch.
Yeah, what?
You go for it.
Alright, you can have this.
Hey, Marshall.
It's just push pins up there. Push pins up there. I got it. Where is it?
Right on this side.
Well, he's gonna read his thing, and then I'm gonna give him this.
Oh no, please do.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Gucci. Alistair, you have one. Wristbands, Kirby. Yeah, what? No.
Whenever you're ready.
Everyone, Billy Bob has a few words to speak.
Give me a second, okay? Alright, two things before we get started. Let me go ahead and get the announcements out of the way. Josh always loved that red truck. You know, believe me, I wanted the Ford, he wanted Chevy. Joshua did win out on that one. All right. That truck, he actually was almost 9 years old since that's how long ago we bought it. So Joshua did the better truck. I got to give him credit for that. So afterwards, after we have the unveiling, if everybody could come out and sort of gather around, however we can around the truck, we want to kind of get a team picture with everybody, including the ladies and everybody's friends around the truck, just so I can have it. The other thing is his Facebook account is still active. I'm trying to, some of his cell phones I have found, and I'm trying to get the pictures off of it. So if y'all have any, some of them, I gotta admit now, I had worse pictures of me in college than some of you guys.
Yeah.
But okay, don't tell them.
I don't know.
Anyway, if y'all could tag him, if you have any of his college pictures of y'all together, if y'all could go to his Facebook account and put them there. I'm trying to create an album and download them off there. My family would really appreciate that, okay? So any pictures that y'all got, even if they're duplicates, I can go through and, you know what I mean, and be able to do that. What we're passing around now, his cousins in Carolina had these arm bracelets made, and just a simple reminder of who Josh is, okay? And for everybody else, you know, y'all probably don't know this, but in 2005, I was actually hit by a drunk driver. Second DUI, second time. Left me dead on the side of the road as a hit and run. But I've had 3 cadaver bones put in my body. I've had to have 2 lens transplants. I have to have live cornea transplants, and I'm waiting on another cornea transplant now because of my right eye. Josh had decided years ago to be a donor. You know, Joshua, my son David can attest that we've had a lot of deaths in our family. My kids are always having to go help them clean out sheds and houses and everything, and they've always told me they're just going to burn everything. So after all this is said and done, we're going to honor Josh. After we go through his things, we're going to have a burn party to get rid of everything that's left of his. So I'll send out a thing through the WhatsApp, and everybody's welcome to come to that. And we'll do a bonfire with the rest of his treasures on earth here. Okay. So, you know, I do know already it was difficult for our family to keep him around those extra days. But he had made that decision, you know, years ago about being a donor. We know his heart went to someone. We know that his pancreas went to another person. We know his 2 kidneys went. We know his liver was used. Unfortunately, they couldn't work it out for his intestine. I do know positively that he was. They told me the other week that he was definitely a bone marrow match for somebody. So it's just something to think about, about being able to give. This was a tragic thing to my family. And as we go through this, this process of healing and everything, we do, again, appreciate your prayers and everything. But I'm going to have to read this because if I try to do it, I'll start getting mushy up here. And I've asked all y'all tough rugby people like Mitch if I get mushy up here to push me all the way. Right? I think this fellow will do it too. But I'm not gonna let you do like you do, Joshua. I promise you. But anyway, so here we go. We, the Faile family, David, Linda, and myself, would like to thank the entire USF Rugby Club and its coaches for all your love and support and prayers during this difficult time. The letters you have sent sharing with us how much you love Joshua have been of great encouragement to us. All of you were Joshua's second family who helped mold him into the man he had become while attending this university. Joshua was never at a loss for friends while playing rugby. I truly will miss Josh bringing some of you home for dinner and waking up and finding a new friend on the couch or on the floor. So, I really do miss that. He constantly mentioned his brothers and mentors at the game. Each and every one of you, whether it's your friend, girlfriend, ex-friend, whatever friend, you know what I mean? Y'all unleashed a passion and a drive in Josh for succeeding that previously been unknown and unharnessed. Our family has been touched by the exceptional influence that you have placed on Josh. Josh will always be your biggest and loudest fan. Remember, one of his aspirations was he was going to bring rugby to Leesburg. That was one of his aspirations.
Leesburg's the best. It will happen.
And it will happen.
One day.
And shoot at 75 in golf. Well, I was going to say, I think some of those famous golf players are on par.
Is that possible?
As you think about Josh in this bar and everything else and everything, you'll always hear him curse Buttermilk Ranch every time you sit down to eat wings. That's going to be a given. We, our family, we will always continue to love you for what you have done for our family. David, Linda, and I like to be known as Nasty's dad. Thank y'all.
Get our current captain and our next captain to unveil the jersey, please. Wherever you want to put it. Wherever you want to put it.
All right, there we go. That's where it stays. All right.
Again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Now, we're going to, if we could, real loud, 3 cheers for Faile. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Now, if we get everyone out by his truck to take a team picture, that'd be lovely. One more time.